Just pull this kind of straight. There we go. Everyone's happy. All right, good to go.
So one of our local drivers is Maro Engel. Maro, it's really great for you to be with us. Now, I know you were born in Germany, but you went to ISM, the local international school in Monaco. So tell us about when you moved over and how long you've been there and everything.
Yeah, Monaco has definitely played a huge part in my life, and well, is home for me, really. My parents moved there when I was 3. So although I do consider myself German, I do hold Monaco very close to my heart. Grew up there, went to school there, university, and still living there with my family. So yeah, it's definitely home for us.
Definitely home, yes. So do you think, being there from that early age, that maybe influenced your career choice, being around all the motorsport in Monaco?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss it, isn't it? It definitely helped, I think. But if I'm to listen to my parents, they tell me that even as a toddler, I was always into cars, and when they'd go to the beach, they'd have to let me stay in the car, because as soon as they took me out of the car, I would start crying. So I think I've always had a thing for cars, and then obviously with seeing the Monaco Grand Prix from a young age was definitely amazing, and I couldn't wait every year to get to May. Obviously, it's around this time of year it would have been on. Unfortunately, not this year, but yeah, it's played a big part. But I think the even bigger part was just the fortunate part about being in Monaco is having access to so many great racing drivers who are living here, and Bernd Schneider was one of them, and Michael Schumacher, obviously, the other, both German for me, obviously, massive heroes at the time, and they even took time to set up cones on the go-kart track for me, and teach me about the racing line when I was, 6 years old, 7 years old, and so that played a huge part, and just being able to see them and how they go about their careers and racing was a huge inspiration.
How lovely of them to help you and nurture you. That's such a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael was always massively into go-karting, and Bernd was amazing. I mean, really, Bernd, was standing out on the go-kart track, standing himself where he wanted me to brake, and then setting up cones, how to drive into the corner and where to hit the apex and things like that, and things that as a 6-year-old you have no clue about, and it was just amazing. I mean, one weekend I was watching them race on TV, and the next I was able to go onto the go-kart track with them. So yeah, definitely a big inspiration and big help.
Great opportunity. So your career has predominantly been in GT with Mercedes, but more recently, a few years ago, you were racing for the local team Venturi in Formula E. How did you find that transition?
For me, I was absolutely loving the challenge of racing actually 3 cars in that year in 2017 with GT3 for Mercedes-AMG, DTM with Mercedes-AMG, and Formula E with Venturi, and obviously all championships on a very high level. So it's kind of funny when you jump from one car to the other, you sort of automatically adapt to that driving style. But for sure, they were completely different. I mean, Formula E is massively exciting, new technology, so many technical aspects. There's so much you can do. It's all about energy management and where to use your energy most cleverly and smartly. So definitely enjoyed that a lot. And also being with the Monegasque team and with the team of Gildo Pastor was fantastic and great. It did also mean I spent a lot of time in the local simulator. That's the case when you're on site. You can basically be there in there every day. And the GT3 racing is something I've really grown to love and hold close to my heart. So absolutely loved it. It was tough in terms of traveling and getting around. I mean, I've definitely got to see a lot of the world in that time, and definitely a very cool time.
Well, funny enough, the local sim was my next question, because I know quite a few drivers that are now in Formula E. They really found that difficult getting to grips with the sim. So how did you find it?
It was a huge part in Formula E. I mean, again, talking about that energy management, I mean, we found that having a certain energy consumption over the lap, and on one example in Marrakesh, shifting your lift and coasting points and regeneration points. So first you lift and coast, then you start regenning in the Formula E car, and then you obviously hit the brakes. Just shifting that around by very few meters back and forth would make a difference of up to 0.8 per lap. Now that's the difference between, you know, a massive result and one that's terrible. So you know, it was really important to put in those hours in the sim, and I enjoyed it. It was definitely tough, but obviously the simulator we had at Venturi was highly sophisticated with you know, plugging in the real ECU of the car, so having the real regen values, and having the real pedal box, having a real chassis, and so on. So obviously it's something where in Formula E all the teams are investing heavily, because there's not much testing or nothing going on throughout the year, and anyway it's hard to replicate driving on street tracks. So from that end, it was definitely very interesting, and sort of it's an ongoing process of development. You know, every time you get in the sim, something new is added, and something new you're testing, and you're correlating data to the real car. So just a lot going on, and yeah, good fun, especially when you're competitive as well. You know, with your teammates, you try to sort of beat each other and do better, and that's what spurs the team on.
So with that in mind, obviously esports are huge now, particularly because of lockdown and we can't get out to race tracks. How much time have you had on the sim and within esports actually?
To be honest, not much. So as much as I've spent a lot of time in the Venturi sim, and I would love to have that kind of sim at my home, but that's obviously a different league and different ballpark. Yeah, we have a 2-year-old, or just under 2-year-old, so she takes up most of our time, especially in lockdown. So I've been training now. Just recently got set up with the sim from the guys from the Monaco Esports Federation, and practice has been limited. Last night I put in what was a longer session, and yeah, when everyone was asleep. So that was pretty much my practice, and going to put in a little bit more practice now before the race, and just hope to try and do well. I know the guys in esports, the level is massively high. We back in Formula E, we had this race, this Vegas E-race simulator race, where we had the 20 Formula E drivers facing 10 of the best gamers, and we got our ass kicked. That's we can be honest about that. So no, I'm just going to try and do as well as I can, prepare in the short amount of time I have. Obviously, there's slight differences, let's say, in the type of simulators and in the platforms and the games that you're playing. So it's all about adapting to those as quick as possible.
You do know there's quite a few big local names competing in this, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think you're going to be against them? How are you going to fare?
So the first aim is not to be last. That's the first aim. The second is to try and be competitive, and the third is there's any chance to get a podium or win the race, then try and grab it with both hands. But I'm being realistic here. This is my first E-race from home. So yeah, just going to try and do as well as possible. Obviously I know Charles is in, and some other local guys, Loic, who I know from Lee and from DTM. So I'm sure there'll be a good fight between us and the other pros, and I'll just see how it goes and try and put on a good show and have some fun.
Are you looking forward to it then?
Yeah, absolutely looking forward to it. I think my wife's worried that I'm going to get hooked, because that might be the end of our family evenings. But let's see. I mean, it's massively fun, and I know one thing's for sure: if I'd be 10, 15 years younger and not have a family right now, then that's definitely all I'd be doing with my time at the moment, is being on these simulators, because it's highly addictive, and it's a lot of fun.
Speaking about your family, and you've got a 2-year-old, tell me about eating lemons.
Yeah, there was a challenge, which was actually a very nice challenge, started up by a 3-star Michelin cook from Germany. Lemon for kids, hashtag lemon for kids, and So basically, you prepare this raw lemon and you eat it, which was tough. I have to say. I think those who've seen it on my Instagram, they saw what I mean. And bottom line is, just getting the message across, spreading the message, because it's a charity that is to be supported. So it's not only about eating lemons, but it's also about donating, even just a small amount, minimum of €10 for two charities that are supporting kids in need, kids that are in need through Corona, but also kids that unfortunately don't have the same privileges and don't have the health. So great challenge, good fun, and hopefully it'll go much further.
Well, hopefully you won't have that sour face at the end of the race.
Yeah, hopefully not. That was, putting it in racing terms, that was definitely on the limit. That was on the edge.
Great, thank you very much. Good to speak to you, and all the best for the race.
Thank you. Cheers.